Morena tātou, welcome to today's governing body meeting, which has got a few things to consider during the course of the day. Right, have we got any apologies? There's some for lateness, I believe.
Councillor Bartley and Councillor Darby for lateness.
Okay.
And Councillor Dalton for early departure.
I think we had one from Councillor Sayers.
No, Councillor Sayers is online. Councillor Turner is online.
Okay, rightio. That's very good to do. Yeah, thank you very much for that. Online we have it. Who?
Councillor Turner and Councillor Sayers.
An early departure for Councillor Dalton. Rightio. Any more apologies? I'll put those apologies.
Happy to move.
Moved and seconded there and there. That was Fletcher and Walker. In favour? Contrary? Carried. Right, declaration of interest. Anyone got any interest that they wish to declare? The confirmation of the minutes were published. Is there a move and a seconder from Walker and Stewart? In favour of accepting the minutes? Aye. Opposed say aye. Contrary? Carried. Righto, we have public input. We have had 3 plus 1 late one. Mr. Troy Churton has declined because understanding order 7.7.6. Members may not debate an item that should do this under the appropriate item agenda. He was talking about regional pest management, and that was because his legal advice has been given and the issue is recently settlement, and there was a local board process that was carried out. We've accepted 2 from West Auckland as flooding, and a Mr. Chris Newman, and there's a late one from under local board input later on, but under public we have 2. I'd like Lyle Cater and Rupinder Binga, if I've got those names right, I hope so, to step forward on behalf of West Auckland as flooding, and they wish to discuss the buyout scheme, the time frame, the valuation, categories 1 and 2. We have heard from several groups in West Auckland already, but you've got something new, so the floor is yours for the moment.
Atamaria, good morning. I'm Lyle Carter, and this is Rupinder Binga, and we're from West Auckland is flooding. After the Auckland Council's governing body agreed to several policy decisions a few weeks ago around how the Category 3 property buyout offers will work, it was important that we heard from our WAIF community. From our formation after the Auckland anniversary weekend floods, we have strived to give West Auckland flood-affected communities a voice in finding urgent, fair and sustainable solutions to flood risk. The majority of our members are based in Henderson, Swanson, Ranui and Massey. We reached out to our community through person-to-person contact, our social media channels and a survey to hear the voices of our flood-impacted neighbourhoods. One of the greatest concerns from the feedback is that nearly 70% of respondents wouldn't be able to buy a similar property based on the buyouts, and just over 35% would walk away with a mortgage debt, negative equity on their flooded property. With nearly 60% of our respondents being first home buyers, it is paramount that being the victims of floods doesn't kick these people off the property ladder altogether. 41% of respondents preferred RV to be used as a valuation for property as a way in which to expedite the buyout process. While the impacts of the storm events of this year has been a nightmare for many in our city, we must remember that for many in West Auckland, it has been over 2 years of flooding hell. Our people just want to move on with their lives. It is of the utmost importance that the voices of storm-impacted communities continue to be heard throughout this process. We look forward to continuing to work collaboratively with local and central government for the good of the flood-affected communities of West Auckland.
Cool. Yeah, so like I said, we reached out to our community and we asked them a few questions. So some of the questions were, do you agree with the pre-flooded market valuation? 33% yes, about 9% said no. And we also asked if they would prefer the pre-flooded RV valuation. There was about like a majority, 41% said yes, and there were other 17%. And there was another concern raised by the community was the 5% owner contribution towards the buyout, because they feel that this year they've already gone through, financial stress already, and then they're being penalised 5% on top of that. And then even if you go with the pre-flooded valuation, the market trend was downwards around the time, and then a lot of people will actually walk away, with mortgage debt, with no equity left. And then we also asked if they agree with 20% on owner contribution for uninsured property. 43% said yes, 84% said no. And then also if they agree with the no cap on the voluntary buyout, we had the majority, 60% agree with it. 22.9% said no. We also asked if you accepted a buyout offer based on the pre-flooded market valuation, would you walk away owing a mortgage debt to the bank for your flooded property? And then there was overwhelmingly 52.7% people will be. About 35.7% people will walk away with your mortgage debt to the bank. And then we also asked them to say if their storm-affected property was their first home or investment property. So 58% of those are homeowners. Yeah. Thank you.
I think Councillor Henderson wants to ask a question.
Yeah, if it's all done, yeah, thank you guys. Look, just a question and a little quick comment. I just want to acknowledge you guys because you guys worked so hard all year and still working hard, engaging hundreds of people in Ranui, Henderson, and I know the kind of personal toll it takes on you guys because all the organising group are all trying to put their lives back together at the same time, so it's a huge sacrifice and I want to thank you for that on behalf of the community. I do have a question. In your opinion, are there people in places like Ranui, Henderson, Swanson, that are not engaging with the process, the buyout process, or they might be afraid to engage with the buyout process?
I think there is a mixture. I think because, again, rightly or wrongly, because there has been, this is for a lot of people, they have been flooded multiple times over the last couple of years. And individually, they've raised issues with council before around clogged streams and things of that nature. And there is a sense, for some people, that there's a sense of mistrust. And what we're endeavouring to do is the best way that this can work is a collaborative effort between community groups and individuals and the council. And so what we aim to do is to be a collaborative partner in that to help people do that. But then on the other side of the fence are people who just want this process over and done with and just want to get out. We have people in our community that have left New Zealand because they just can't handle the stress anymore.
Yeah, I'll add to that. There's a couple of other things. There's a lot of people that actually they're just really exhausted. So they don't even have time to go through the whole process.
Yeah.
And the other thing, there's a lot of people that we know they're actually flooded, but they're not actually engaging with the whole process about filling out the forms, just so that because they fear that if they fall in category 1 or 2, all of the information that wasn't on their limb before when they bought the property might go on their limb, and that's going to impact the value of their property, which might affect them financially going forward. So they feel that when they bought the property, they didn't have this, transparency. But now, if they have to sell it, that information might go on the limb, and then they might impact, when they go to sell. So that's going to impact them financially. So there are people that actually not doing just for that reason.
Thank you guys. Thanks again. Thanks, man.
Okay, I've got Council Leone.
Kia ora, kia ora. Just wanted to mahi to you all as well for the amazing work that you're doing in West Auckland. I know that we didn't have as many constituents affected in the Faux ward. Nonetheless, I know a lot of those that were have been in contact with your rōpū. So ngā mihi to you. And mine was really around completing the survey as well, which you've brought up. Is there anything more that we could be doing as a council to tautoko and support those ones who are unsure about completing that survey?
There's some people that, like, you know, a lot of the people that live there, like some of them, they're like elderly, they don't have access to internet, or they haven't been reached out, so they don't even know what the process is, or they haven't even got letters to say, hey, you know, if your property was, I mean, council has the record of, you know, which property were flooded, so they could probably start maybe sending out letters for people who don't know about the process, or they haven't heard online, or they're not engaged with, you know, one of our groups. Like, as part of WAVE, we try to keep our community up to date, like, you know, through social media, through person-to-person contact, but there are some people that actually are not online, or, you know, they don't even have smartphones where they can just go fill out forms, so they, you know, they rely on, you know, sending out letters. So maybe that's one of the things you could do, is send out, you know, letters to their mailbox. That might be able.
Just a final one. Have you had any concerns around any of the cultural or barriers with language for people trying to contact some of the constituents as well?
Yeah, there's always in this process a question around equity of access to the process, and there will always be people on the edges that have a variety of barriers. We've had people that are in that have a level of disability that haven't been able to engage, but we've had neighbours come alongside to be able to help them to engage. There has also been language barriers as well. So there are a number of barriers that have stopped people engaging in the process. Our biggest concern is we don't want to see people fall between the cracks, and we are more than happy to try and facilitate conversation with people that you may have identified, and we may have them as contacts, and then through our community contacts, we might be able to engage with them through that. More than happy to work alongside you on that.
Ka pai, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Filipaina, please.
Tēnā koe, Mr Mayor. Tēnā ko rua, Lyle and Rupunta. My question is around the Category 2. I know we've got an agenda item on Category 2P, but in regards to Category 2, have the homes and the group that you represent been categorised yet?
Not as far as we're aware.
Have you been advised as to when that process could happen?
No, not as far as we're aware.
Will you
Indications.
Will you be interested? Would you like to be involved in regards to that categorisation when it occurs?
So is being told when it's going to happen? Yeah, absolutely.
That's Category 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, I mean, absolutely. That's what the community's been wanting for. Just if they have some sort of an update, like where things are at, because if they don't hear anything, they don't even know what's going on. So they kind of, you already, see they're already in the limbo. Like they're kind of, stuck. They don't know what's happening, what category they're going to fall in. And then at least it's been, 9 months? And then at least they can start planning their lives, and move forward. And then the other concern was around Category 2 was we've started to have in our community some people that received letters from council that their property might not be insurable if they're in Category 2.
Not from council, from insurance.
From insurance. Yeah. So they might not be insurable if the property falls in Category 2 until the mitigation work has been done. So that's going to be a bit of a concern.
And it is a question. Our understanding was the categorisation process was based on risk to life, not risk to property. So that was a bit of a question that we had around that. Before those mitigations, especially for 2C, if it's going to take a while for those to come into place, there is the balance of people paying, either not being insured or according to these letters that have come out from insurance, which I did see there was a statement from council came out regarding that. So, yeah, some more clarity around that would be good going forward. And 2P potentially will be a bit of a thorny one, because how much is it going to? What is the question is what is the acceptable value to put on a property to mitigate it at a property level? Is it 50,000? Is it 100,000? What's the level? So there's some questions around that we have.
Look, to you both, because your sentiments that you've just expressed are also shared for those around other areas. So, tēnā korua. Thank you to you both.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'll get the Chief Executive to say something in a minute, but just to put things into perspective, that's, some of those questions are nationwide questions. We are thinking seriously about 2P, and there will be further discussions on that. We have funded navigators amongst the community, and I'm sure you know how to contact those, and you should put those towards those people that you find are having difficulty. We're funding those to get through there. There is no right and wrong in this. We're doing our best. It is a generous offer, despite the fact that it may be considered to be. We're not the insurers of last resort. And when we say councillors' money, it comes from other ratepayers. So there's pressures all around here, and I'm sure you understand that. We're certainly listening to what you're saying, and we have listened to the presentations from a number of groups in West Auckland and a number of groups who have been adversely impacted upon this. We thought seriously about the insured and the uninsured. I mean, and basically we are including them at a level, which again was some debate. There are some people who are suggesting that we shouldn't pay anything to uninsured people, and there are other people saying we chew the lot. So we've come down somewhere in the middle of all that, which is not a great surprise. I'm sure you're well aware that there's a lot of thoughts gone on from this side as well, and we can't please everybody. If we were ludicrously generous, I would raise there'll be hundreds of thousands of people on the other side of this who will be complaining about it. So if council has managed to get this where everyone's a little bit happier, but not totally, then we're probably getting near where it should be. But there is no right and wrong. We absolutely are listening to what you're saying, though. Don't feel that you're falling on deaf ears. Do you want to add to that, Chief Executive?
Sorry, just if I can respond, Mayor. We appreciate that this is unprecedented, and there's a lot of pressure for you all around the table, and we appreciate that this is a first time for doing this, and we also appreciate the engagement that we've had from many around this table to make sure that this is done right and that this is done with people in mind. So we just want to continue to work collaboratively with you to make sure that no one's left behind. Our biggest fear is that we will have people that are detrimentally impacted for the rest of their lives due to this. And so, again, we wish to continue to work with you collaboratively, and we thank you for that.
Well, firstly, thanks for being here and sharing that thinking. I acknowledge as well the fact of your leadership in the community, and to be honest, between yourselves and a number of other groups, you've played a really important role in terms of being an interface between the council and affected communities, who we continue to sympathise with, obviously. We're very aware that we may not know every property that's been affected in this, so your comment is noted in that regard, and the more intelligence we can get, the better we'll be positioned to kind of interact with those affected people. I will ask the Recovery Office to continue working with you. I know they already are, but to particularly have a look at the analysis that you have from your survey work. We do have a political reference group which has an ongoing role in terms of monitoring the buyout scheme and some of the as you'll note from the agenda today, there are still some policy questions that have been worked through so that we can be really fulsome and detailed around how this will work, which leads to the final point around timing. The Recovery Office does have a plan. It's in its final stages of taking shape so we can provide clarity about when the categorisation, valuation, etc. steps will be happening in different affected communities. It's going to require a little bit of goodwill in terms of getting to people who are affected as fast as we possibly can, but that planning is definitely underway. In fact, I met with the Recovery Office earlier this week to discuss that. So we will commit to continuing to work with you on this, and as much information as you can provide us, good, it's useful. So thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Cheers.
We should have there is a motion moved to receive the public input from West Auckland and thanking them for attendance. It's moved by Councillor Henderson and seconded by Councillor Leone. All those in favour, please say aye. To the contrary, carried.
Aye.
Thank you. Right, the next up is Chris Newman. This request was withdrawn last month as Mr Newman was unable to attend at the last moment. I'll remind everybody that we do have standing orders that prevent us from straying into anything that is offensive or repetitive, and I'll call order if required. Also, we can't stray into the Maori seats yet either, as that will be dealt with under item 7. But come to the table, please.
Okay. Point of order, Your Worship. Sorry, sir. Just a point of order in regards to the standing orders. Just want to confirm through Sandra that even though we've had the consultative process, that this store can go ahead after everybody else has submitted in their consultation process.
Consultation process?
So we've gone through the consultation processes, and as per, and I'm going through standing orders now, as per permission to end up speaking at public input, if there has already been a consultative process, can they still speak, whether it be this gentleman or anybody else, at the public input? I just want to confirm that via standing orders.
Not if it concerns Maori seats.
Okay, kia ora.
But Mr Newman is not going to speak about that as far as we know.
Oh, okay, thank you.
My topic is not Maori seats.
Okay, I just saw the word Māorification. I just assumed it was because we got it on our agenda.
No,
Thank you.
and I'm not talking about projects which support maraes or cultural activities or anything like that.
Tapai. Kia ora. Just
okay,
wanted to check.
Okay,
Thank you,
that's
sir.
point raised and point dealt with.
Thank you
Mr.
very
Newman,
much.
you have 5 minutes.
Okay, well, greetings everybody in the governing body. And my concern is for us as a city and as good Kiwis to keep united within the laws of the land and within our treaty and within our accustomed ways. Personally, I have had an intercultural, interracial marriage for 25 years. My wife is Japanese. I've lived overseas in many different cultures, including places like Miami, for about 20 odd years. So I bring a whole background, and I'm trained in sociology and education. But suddenly warning flags are going up, which is why I've written a book called Fraud, Plunder, Treason and Our Treaty, because I have seen changes coming to our country, and the cloak of Maorification is used as a front to hide political change, which may be subverting our unity. That is what I'm addressing, sir. So it's the politicisation of Maoridom as a front to divide us. And there are friends we have from South Africa who've come here hoping to get away from apartheid, and they are telling us, ooh, the signs are coming. So our warning here is to our governing body, let's keep our ship of state, our governance facing in the direction of unity and facing in the direction of peace and of keeping our laws. Because schemes such as, which are proposed and look like they're going to be imposed on council, such as a Puapua, Three Waters, changing place street names without asking us, imposition of te reo, meddling with the maunga, imposition of disruptive neo-Māori cultural processes, and race-based political interference with council feels like bullying. We are very happy with our council we've elected so far. I think all of the people of the city feel a strong sense of content, not quite content, but we're happy with the way things are going. But if we're heading in this new direction, that is going to create a tremendous feeling of upset. Our treaty-derived laws and democratic processes guarantee all New Zealanders one law for all. Therefore, any discrimination on political, social, economic, racial, sexual or religious grounds, any venture into apartheid is unacceptable to Kiwis in every way. Now, I did a little bit of study, and you all know the council is constituted under the Local Government Act. So if something isn't in the Local Government Act, the council can't do it. And if we do go outside the law, we are subject to other parliamentary acts like the Crimes Act and the Criminal Procedures Act. Well, what does the Local Government Act tell us about our council? That it's based upon and constituted upon providing for democratic and effective local government, based on democratic local decision-making and action by and on behalf of communities, which is why we're all here. So there can't be any one community which is going to rise above the rest of us. So we can only assume, since the majority of the folks of Māori identity are all with us, that that is being used by other interests who have a political agenda about power, money, the usual story. And it's coming from outside of our council and outside of our communities. So the key principle of the Local Government Act, democracy at every level, and that's why you've got me here having a little chat, is refers to, it's all the principles in the way, all the way through the Act. I've got a highlighter, I won't go through it because it'll take time, but you can go through the Local Government Act with a yellow highlighter and pick out everything that talks about democracy, and you've got pages of it because that is the foundation. But I fear that we are heading, if we follow the Maorification schemes, and I'm not talking about anything to do with Maori, I'm talking about Maorification, as a political process of dividing and breaking our Commonwealth. If we go down that line, we will end up in serious problems. So I ask our council to bring that front and foremost so that our compass is always pointing in the way that the treaty and our ancestors intended us to be. And in fact, these matters never came up in the generation of my grandfather, my great-grandfather, my father. So now we have to deal with it. Is that my time, is it? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I have questions from Councillor Leone.
Kia ora. Yeah, very interesting kōrero you've given there, and I didn't actually know that Māorification was even a word. I've never heard that word before, but as a wahine Māori elected member of a general ward, I just want to ask you, first of all, well, make a statement that I don't think there's anyone against anyone in terms of the ward councillors that are here. We are all working together, and that would be the vision of this council going forward. But the first thing that I wanted to ask is, have you read the Te Tiriti o Waitangi and the Māori version
Indeed.
of Māori governance for Māori and Pākehā governance for Pākehā?
There is nothing in the Reverend Williams' treaty, which he wrote in 1840, and he also wrote the dictionary in 1844, or his brother did, Williams. So Williams, the missionary who wrote Te Tiriti, had nothing in there about co-governance or any of the things you're referring to. His language is based on the Bible, based on the 17 years of residence in New Zealand. He was completely bilingual, as was his son, who came here when he was 3. So at the time, his son, who helped him translate, was 20 years old, and he'd lived 17 years in full immersion. So they knew exactly what they were saying. The people who read it, the chiefs and tribes and all the people of New Zealand, knew quite clearly what was intended. So this revisionist history and attempt to redefine the words and change the meanings from the original meaning of 1840, as recorded in William's Dictionary of 1845, smacks of what I call marification, because it's a political technique which is used by, especially in cultural Marxism, where words are redefined. People can't any longer define what is a woman. Do you know what a wahine is a woman, I'm assuming? But we got this, that's in the local current example, which has caused
I think you've answered the
language
question.
confusion. So I'm not going into the
We'll knock
debate
you
on the
on the head
language.
there.
The language is clear.
I just had one second one, which is not going to be, which isn't going to be long at all. But obviously, with all the other Māori wards that have already gone through across Aotearoa, which is more than half in our country, have you actually spoken to any of the councils where this has happened, and have they mentioned anything around it not going well?
I would like to be sponsored to do a survey of all the councils and to go around the country.
You're not
check that
answering
out.
my
And if
question.
no, I
You
am
haven't
I'm-
actually
yes,
answered my
I
question,
am
because you're
getting there.
talking about a survey.
I am getting there.
I'm asking you if you have actually spoken to councillors and mayors across this country that have already got Māori wards implemented, which are a majority now, and you're talking about a survey in the future. I'm asking if you have actually spoken to current elected members.
My survey is referring to any effect of it. So I have not done a survey of the cities, and I don't know if anybody has, but I have seen the reports of the referenda or polls that were taken around the
I
country.
think we're
and the
wandering
majority
into
of us-
the item 7, both the question and the responder, so I'll park that and move to councillor Henderson, but please, we're not about the seats, that's item 7, okay? So if your question's about that, just can it.
I would not be doing that. Thank you, Mayor. Kia ora, Chris. You have spoken to us a lot about the Local Government Act today. Just wondering what your view is on Section 4 of that Act, Tiriti or Waitangi, in order to recognise and respect the Crown's responsibility to take appropriate account of the principles of the Treaty of Waitangi and to maintain and improve opportunities for Māori to contribute to local government decision-making processes. Is that not legally binding upon local government?
So we need to define these so-called principles. That's what you're applying. Everything is binding on us who are in the government and who are involved. So therefore we need to discuss what they are. And I won't go into that here, Your Honour. I'm quite happy to do presentations on that. In fact, I've spent considerable amount of time researching it, and it's all in here, pages of it.
So you've answered the first part, but not the second part. So to maintain and improve opportunities for Māori to contribute to local government.
So we have a problem defining what is Māori, and what we've got here is the Treaty of Waitangi Act says a Maori is a person of Maori descent, descended from Maori person. But a person is a statutory construct, not a people, a living being. So a statutory imaginary being can't have children. So we're talking about a legal construct. In fact, most people of Maori descent are actually of many descents. For example, Minister of Maori Affairs Nanaia Mahuta is 38% Maori, 44% English, 13% Rarotongan and 6% Irish.
Point of order. My kids are Māori. I don't want to do this, Chair.
Well, so can we have questions and answers that are relative to what we think, because we're opening up into wandering stuff there. Councillor Dalton, please, can you answer
Thank you,
this
Kia ora.
person
Yes,
a particular question?
straightforward question. I'm just a bit perplexed by your statement. This isn't about Māori, this is about Māorification.
That's correct.
How can you have Māorification without Māori?
Okay, so we keep to our democratic principles and we don't allow this process into the power and control and political content at the top, which guides everything. because in our communities there are many different groups and we have to respect all of them. So everybody's equal, everybody's got the same status and we're all working together. That's how we do it.
So it is specifically about Māori. It is specifically about Māori.
I'm not talking about
You've
the
just
seats.
spoken about all the other cultures that we have, so we're talking about cultures.
Yeah.
You've chosen Māori and you're saying this is Māorification and we will not have it. So how do you define Māorification
So
without Māori?
at the beginning you heard me saying this is not I'm not addressing matters such as supporting the local marae or having cultural events. I said I'm talking about the change of the political power structure. That is what's concerning us. You understand?
I understand who has been in power for 183 years and it's not Māori.
We've got to
Thank
keep
you. Thank you.
with our democracy. Yeah.
Thank you. That's a good, to move on to the next one. Councillor Filipaina.
Kia ora, Mr Mayor. Tēnā koe, Chris, ngā mihi ki a koe, o te korero. Just want to acknowledge you for what you have said. My pātai is, do you think that any act passed by Parliament that we should adhere to, that has been given the royal assent, do you think we should adhere to any act that has given the royal assent?
We are bound, not me, but this council is bound by the statute.
So should we adhere to any act passed by Parliament?
Any
Simple
act.
question,
Yes,
any act?
yes, of course.
We should. Do you know the contents of the Local Government Electoral Legislation Act 2023? Do you know what that has? If the answer is no, it's a simple question. Do you know the contents of the Local Government Electoral Legislation Act 2023? Yes or no?
Hold it. I don't.
You don't?
Believe I do. I've read parts of these acts, but I can't recall.
Can I make
all
a humble suggestion, sir?
Yeah.
Is that you read that act? Thank you, Mayor. That's the only two pātai I have. Kia ora.
Well done. Thank you. Councillor Feely, please.
Kia ora, thank you, Chair. Look, I don't want to add to the growing tension in the room, but as a person of research, I just want to flip your topic on you and ask you, in your research, what have you found has been the effect on Māori of the Europeanisation or the Europeanification of our city, our politics, our culture, our economy? Do you understand or do you know what the effect was on Māori?
Oh, yes, yes.
Before
Yeah.
the treaty and then in the years that ensued after that?
Yeah. So the first thing is we must honour our father and our mother. So we're all from mixed ancestry. So that's like me talking about being an Irishman because my great-great-grandfather was an Irishman. And so all of us now are people of mixed lineage and we must address that reality and come together as
Chair, the
New
question
Zealanders
was, do
and
you
not
know
separate
of the
ourselves
effect
based
on Māori
But
of
we can't
the
define,
Europeanisation
we
of
can't,
our nation?
No, that's a Marxist argument. We can't define what is or isn't to Maori. We don't know what one is anymore.
Your
because
Worship,
the
I
chiefs
withdraw
and
my question.
tribes,
I'm happy for us to
the
stop.
chiefs and
Kia ora.
tribes of the treaty are no longer
I think,
with us.
thank you for that, but thank you for the question, and the answer is something that I don't understand, but nevertheless, I've got a mover and a seconder for Walker and and the Deputy Mayor to receive the input from Christopher Newman, thanking you for your time. All those in favour, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Carried.
Contrary.
Thank you very much, Mr.
I'm
Newman.
contrary. I'm contrary. I'm voting against
Okay.
that. I don't wish to pass any vote of thanks for what he presented today, especially what he said about Māori and what he said about women and people that identify as women.
I accept that. I'm just happy to move on, but we've noted that. Thank you. Now, for something entirely different, we're going to move to the local board input. We did actually have one under 6.2.2. I have discretion